welcome to the sports show. Mike, Max, Trent, Tucker, Lou, Nanne, Sid Hartman. Boy, we've got the winter sports covered, plus Sid right here on the sports show today.
Yeah, but we got the best woman, one of the greatest women in the world. Where is she? Why isn't she watching the show? Francine. Nanne.
Yeah, why would she not want to watch this show?
Great mother, great grandfather, mother. What a lady. I've known her almost as long as he does. When he came up here.
How long you been married, Lou? 50?
50 years.
Unbelievable.
I've known her 48 years.
No, you know her 50. She said at 60.
We want to put her on there.
Yeah, really.
Show her off.
Yeah, yeah. A lot to talk about today, Sid, and this thing about, you knew Flip Saunders has been sniffing around for jobs, for a while. Nobody does it like Flip, puts himself in position to get jobs, and I say that with all due respect. I mean, it doesn't look like Tubby's job is going to come open.
Got nothing to do with Tubby's job.
Hang on. Timberwolves GM, possibility. Could be an NBA coaching job out there. You know he and Taylor have been talking because we talked to Taylor about it last summer.
Well, you know everything.
I just asked you.
If you aren't stupid and you read...
You're reading the tea leaves.
Read this quote in the paper the other day. It says, Flip Saunders is aware of everything that happens in the Timberwolves in the paper. You don't read the paper. You think you know all the answers.
Yeah.
Second of all, I've talked to Taylor a lot about this.
Okay, what'd he say?
It's going to happen.
That's what he said?
I'm pretty sure it's going to happen. Okay?
Would Flip be a good GM, Trent?
Yes, he would be a good GM. He's been around the game a long time.
And he loves the game.
He's coached players at a very high level. He understands how to put teams together, so he would be a good guy in that position.
Louis,
and furthermore, he made another quote here.
Okay.
A while back, he said he checks with Flip about injuries, how players should be out or shouldn't be out. And Flip's been down to Mankato a couple times talking about basketball, and David Kahn got no chance to stay on for next year.
I agree with that. Louis, you were a GM. Is it, for coaches to be GMs, what's the difference? Is the skill set similar or not?
No, I don't think so, and I also think it's a frame of mind, too. It's something people just assume because they're both management positions that they're both the same, but they're distinctly different. And I've yet to see many coaches that love to coach really want to be a general manager. They don't want to commit as much time to the general manager's job as they should. And if they do, then it hurts coaching. So sometimes there has been a few guys that tried to transition. I think like Pat Quinn, for instance, he's tried it 3 times, and yet he always returns to coaching. And he hasn't had as much success as a general manager, and he's had tremendous success as a coach. And he just tells me he loves to coach. So sometimes it's not something that fits people, and they better be aware of the distinctive change they're going to have from going from coaching to managing.
I'll tell you the story. When he became general manager, I'm in WCCO radio, and all of a sudden, Gordon Ritz comes over, and he says, come on over to the Minneapolis Club. We want to talk to you. He's there. Wheelock Whitney's there. And what was the guy?
Bob McNulty.
Huh?
Bob McNulty.
Bob McNulty. We're all talking about making Louis Nanne general manager. Do you think he'd make a great general manager?
What did you say at the time?
I said, unbelievable general manager. I'm not saying that was the only reason he got the job.
Main reason,
but it didn't hurt him any.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to know how he would get along with the media.
Have you ever thanked him for it? Or did you not know until now?
Many times, no. And they told me this a long time ago.
They gave me the story, broke the story on him being general manager.
But you were the general manager. First you coached and then became...
No, it was both.
Oh, so
they hired me as general manager.
They took you as a player and made you both.
Well, actually, they hired me as general manager, and I fired the coach right away because I knew I wanted a different coach, so it wasn't fair to keep him. And I coached till the last month of the season and was general manager as well. And then in the summer, then I hired a coach.
Trent, who's the best general manager you've seen in the NBA?
Well, there's been quite a few. Mitch Kupchak has done a pretty good job with the Lakers putting those teams together. The guy Sam Presti down in Oklahoma City, he was able to go out and draft that young talent to make them a team now that It's close to winning an NBA championship. So when you look at some of the young guys now who are up and coming, they come from certain systems. They know how to put teams together. They scout very well, and they bring in the right players at the right time. Success will follow that.
You had something else you wanted to add?
Mitch did a great job because he had nothing but money. The guy who runs the San Antonio team has done, without a doubt, the best job of anybody even close. He came up with Parker. He got Duncan, came in the draft. But every
Ginobili,
year,
so we were going to say.
Huh?
Ginobili.
Ginobili
Manu
came up
Ginobili.
with. He's come up with more players. The Lakers get Shaq O'Neal, they pay him all the big money. They get Gasol, they pay him all the big money. They'll pay $50 million revenue sharing this year. That's how much money you're making. Whoever runs that San Antonio team is unbelievable.
Well, he does a good job in San Antonio.
Year in, year out.
But the year before he took over as the head coach, you know, David Robinson was hurt. So they got Tim Duncan. So when you started with Tim Duncan and David Robinson, that's a pretty good place to start.
That's what I want to talk about when we come back. I mean, is it the GM or is it the draft that anybody could pick those guys? Stay with us.
But the other players...
There it is, J.D. Hoyt's. What a great place. We enjoyed their entrees last week. Pat and the whole gang. Stop on by. Eric Curry even hangs out there. Noted NCAA, probably tournament referee. Welcome back to the Sports Show. Trent Tucker, Lou Nanne, and Sid Hartman. So, Louis, is it as easy, if you're a GM, though, and everybody can tell you who should be, you know, who the top players are in the draft, is it so easy as San Antonio just gets lucky?
You still have to make the right pick, and it's really difficult when you've got a little better time when you're in college basketball because you're picking them usually at
age
20,
21.
21, 22. Hockey, you pick them at 18, and you're going to make mistakes. Everybody's going to make mistakes, but the more often that you're right than wrong, the better you're going to be. But there are times when players are real close, and at least in the minds of scouts at that time, and you make the choice.
Michael Jordan or Sam Bowie at the time, right?
You're right. I mean,
but does that make Chicago brilliant, or does that just mean we would have drafted Bowie if we were there too, and we just got lucky?
Well, I think Portland picked the right guy for them. Because they had Clyde Drexler and they had Jerome Curtis. So they had guys that could play the wing position. And they were looking at Sam Bowie to come in to fill that 5 position for him. You know, bad news for them. He got hurt and he couldn't finish off his career. And then Michael Jordan became Michael Jordan.
So does that make Chicago smart, though, or Chicago lucky?
He's the guy who drafted him. And I told this story the other day. We're sitting there at my house with that Olympic team. Pat Ewing won't eat vegetables food. He thinks it's poison. And I'm sitting there with Sam Newton and Hank Iba and Knight. And Michael goes to the buffet to get some more food. And Knight says, there's going to be the greatest basketball player that ever lived. And he wasn't the greatest player in the world in college. He averaged 19.6. There were guys on that team just as good as him.
And you told Krause to draft Jordan then.
Jerry Krause drafted him.
Yeah. So,
right after.
Yeah.
It flows.
I was his general manager for many years.
Of the Zephyrs.
The Lakers. Who do you think did all the drafting of the Lakers?
Okay,
Me.
okay, but did they hand them to you because the territorial draft and you couldn't miss it, or did you do some unbelievable scouting that led to good players? That's my question.
I thought it was Kid Khan that.
Yeah, Kid Khan.
I thought it was Kid Khan drafted all those guys.
He had my guys who I talked to.
John Wooden.
All
C.M. Newton.
Coaches.
Adolph Rupp.
Adolph Rupp, yep.
And I had, who's the guy who was with the Lakers from Kansas? Tex Winter. He was the best. He gave us more good tips on more good players.
But here's my point. If Mikan's in your territorial draft and Mickelson's a territorial guy, I mean, how many times do you have to be brilliant if those guys you have access to?
You don't have to be brilliant, but it takes a few players alongside of them, too.
And that's where you came in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's when you were brilliant.
And that's when you...
That's when you were brilliant. When you made those moves.
Lucky it happened when you were at a time in your life when you were brilliant, yeah. Trent, what will you do with the Timberwolves right now? We watched them last night against Portland. Why even watch anymore? It looks like this team has checked out. The injuries are going to be lingering for those guys that maybe got a bruise or a...
Well, you're hoping that the guys who are here, they continue to play hard. Ricky Rubio is now starting to find his way, and you like to see that because he's becoming healthier. And you're also evaluating to see who's going to be here for the future because these players now are either playing for a contract to stay here or to show themselves to someone else in the league.
And I'll say this, I spend a lot of time at Timberwolves practices during the year. I'm out there all the time. And I spend a lot of time talking to Ricky Rubio. And Louis, if there's one positive sign that I've seen this year, it's that he is genuinely frustrated and angry about what's going on right now, that they can't win games at the end, and he's taking it personally. And aren't those the things you look for?
I think that kid's terrific, and I do think that the Timberwolves, people are wondering what's going to happen to them. I think that they're going to come back with a great year. They got 2 draft choices. They got the opportunity to sign some free agents. They're going to have Love healthy. They got a good core group. I think they can make a big leap next year.
They could, but it's just hard. Oh, hang on.
Here's the thing. They should be able, even though they got some injuries, they should be able to beat some of the bad teams. Some teams don't have any more personnel than they have, and have injuries too, and they can't beat anybody.
Right, which is you're right, exactly. That's the frustration, right? It's not that you expect them to beat the Lakers, it's that you expect them to beat some of the bad teams like Phoenix.
Right. There's some teams they should be able to beat.
Well, those teams have players, too, who are still trying to win as well. I mean, so if you're saying, well, you're going to take the best players away from the Wolves and then look at the rest of the guys on the team compared to those other bad teams, they're about in the same boat. So they lose to the Phoenix Suns in overtime, 84-83 on their home floor. Those other guys can play as well, so they're going to make some plays coming down the stretch also. But I think when this team gets itself back together, like Louis said, when they bring in your best players and you can stay healthy, now you can find consistency. And right now they don't have that because they don't have the best players.
But shouldn't they win some games?
Well, they should. They have won some games.
They're 4-21 in the last 25.
I mean, but look at the other teams they're playing against, too. All of a sudden, now you still have to go out and beat that guy. He's just not going to lay down and let you come in and beat him anyway.
What's been your assessment of Rick Adelman in his 2 years here?
Well, I know this, that during that period that he was absent from practice, that he told some people that he might quit then. He was so frustrated with his wife with these
seizures.
These seizures are the worst thing in the world when they get these seizures. And I was told just killed him when she got one of those seizures.
Yeah, they're very close.
And he wanted to be with her all the time. And at the time, he told a couple of people that maybe it's about time I quit traveling and I quit running and all that stuff.
Louis, because you made a transition into business. And you see Flip wanting to get back in the game. And you see how long Adelman's had enough money for years that he could have retired. What is it? Is it just the competition that gets in their blood, or is it the fact that they don't have any hobbies because they don't have any time to develop any hobbies when you have to be that consumed with winning?
I think the coaches really have a distinct desire to just coach. That's what fuels them. To them, that's their leisure time. They just enjoy doing it. And I talked to last night. I was up in Fargo watching a junior game, watching my grandson play. And after the game, I went over to talk to the Fargo coach, who I started out coaching back in 1987. And I asked him how he was enjoying it. He says, Louis, everybody asked me when I'm going to quit. He says, I am retired. He says, I got 2 assistants. I got people that help me around here. He says, this is what I do in retirement. He says, as far as I'm concerned, I'm retired. And the coaches that love to coach and have that fire just don't see themselves retiring because it's such a drastic change from being so involved every day.
From 80 to 0, right?
But if he quits, then Flip can have 2 jobs. He could be general manager and coach. Don't be surprised that, if Flip would try and do both and hire an assistant as general manager to help him there.
Maybe he'll go get Eric Musselman to coach.
How about Grant? He likes money more than anybody I know, or as much as anybody. He came back for 1 year, got a heck of a deal. He still was a young guy. He wasn't that old.
He was, what, 54, 55?
Yeah. But he decided he didn't want the headache in him. One play finally made a decision for him. They're playing Kansas City. They got the ball on the 2-yard line, and a player gets a roughing penalty. He says, I don't need any more of this.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's the reason he quit there, but it was getting tougher to coach these guys, and he didn't want any more of it. Bill Parcells, there's a lot of guys quit.
But Parcells always comes back.
Yeah.
But Bud always was
trying to
if you have something.
Why did you quit? You could have.
Let's take a break.
How many hockey teams
take a break and we'll pick it up when we come back. Stay with us.
I'm serious.
Hey, I had a great visit out with Bruce Bonine and the whole staff at Audi the other day. Bruce, a season ticket holder to Golden Gopher basketball. And we were talking about that Indiana game and how it changed the complexion of the entire team. Stop on by Audi Minneapolis. Visit with Bruce and the entire staff. Good group of guys. Trent, it is amazing how you can get beat by 20-some points and 21 points and 26 points, and the season is lost, and all of a sudden you play one game like that against Indiana and everything changes. Tell me about the Gopher program.
Well, they came out with a great deal of energy and effort, and they had a mindset that, hey, we're going to win this game tonight. We're going to do whatever it takes to knock off this team, because this is our season. And when you're in the game of sports, you know that one big moment here or there could swing that confidence and get you back on track and build momentum as you move throughout the rest of the season. And now they have some momentum behind them, and they have a chance to make a run, I believe.
You know, I had a colleague of mine who works with us from Boston. He was Player of the Year in Division III, and he'd never been to the Williams Arena, and he asked for tickets to go and watch the Gophers in Indiana, so I got him a couple tickets. And after the game, he said to me, this is one of the best experiences I've had in my life. He said, if I was a recruit, I'd be coming here. He says, and in fact, I enjoyed it so much, I think this would be like a bucket list thing to come to the game, the kind of atmosphere in the game and everything. So that thing went national, that game, and it certainly could help recruiting for the Gophers.
Larry, I'm sitting with Larry Fitzgerald the other night after the game, waiting for Tubby Smith to come up. And Larry Fitzgerald came up with the whole story, and I agree with him. Mbakwe is finally in physical condition. It took him a long time with those knees. I go to practice almost every day, and he was having ice on his knees every day. He finally is in real good physical shape, and he's a different player. And when he's in that position, rebounding like he was, they're going to win a lot of games. He was, until the last 2 weeks, he wasn't himself.
I talk to Mbakwe all the time. I've known him since he was in high school. Yeah, and I don't think it's a conditioning thing. I think it's his confidence in him getting the ball in the right spot.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
I just said, I talk to Mbakwe
I talk to his trainer. Is that good enough?
I talk to Mbakwe all the time. I think they found a system that works for him. Yeah.
St.
Bernard's. I knew him back at St. Bernard's and Henry Sibley. How do you like that? What do you think of Mbakwe?
Full of crap. It's unbelievable.
You know, I like what he brings to the table physically. You know, and many people have asked me, you know, can he play at the next level? I think there's a role for him at the next level. You know, you take a guy like Ben Wallace, you know, who found his way once they went to Detroit. Good defensive player, big-time rebounder. I think Mbakwe can find a game like that, and there may be room for him on the team at the next level.
And Rodney Williams, who, you know, some people said wouldn't play again this year after a shoulder injury, is playing well.
Rodney Williams has been hurt from early in the season, and nobody knew too much about it. And then he took a real spill and landed on his shoulder.
Right.
And he played in 3-4 games that he couldn't do nothing. Finally, the Indiana game, Rodney Williams was close to okay. They are healthy now. The Hollins kid, took a big flop in one of the road games. I don't know which one it was. And he was having back spasms all the time. He's okay. I disagree with Tubby on one thing. I don't think he has any bench. I think he has 1 or 2 guys. You
might want to tell Indiana that, because Ellenson came in and 3 straight possessions beat up on Zellers.
Okay, Ellison's one guy. I'm talking about a bench. They got that guy from Latvia. He couldn't play for your Hamlin team.
Well, Welch played pretty well yesterday. Welch played pretty well against Penn State.
They're playing the Sisters of the Poor yesterday.
Tell me, what do you think of the Gopher bench and the hockey team?
Hockey team, I don't know much about.
Take a break, come back. We got to talk some hockey when we come back. Stay with us.
They might draft him.
Yeah.
A Place at the Table, now playing at the Uptown Theater. It's a great documentary/film. Bring your ticket stub to Bar Abilene and receive a free order of guacamole and chips. Don't we know how good those are? Yeah, stop on by. Welcome back to the Sports Show. We got to talk a little bit about some hockey, the Minnesota Wild and the Minnesota Gophers. The Gophers come up with a split this weekend. They're not going to win the WCHA, but you seem to have a good feeling about them going into the tournaments.
We talked to Lucia. We had him on a radio show today.
Yep.
And he thinks the league is so balanced, it's tough to win a 2-game series. Denver's good, St. Cloud's good, other teams are good. It's no picnic, and they're doing pretty good. But I asked him if this might be one of his best teams. He says, well, I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
But here's the sad part of it, and Louis knows more about that than I'll ever know. I know Florida's got 3 guys, 2 on the Gophers and 1 in North Dakota, all turn pro next year.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, I don't know about Rao, but Bukestad will turn pro from the Gophers. Yeah. Rao may, and Grimaldi probably might. He's from North Dakota. But the Gophers weren't as sharp Friday night. They did not play a good game. And
2-0 loss.
Yeah, but they had 5 power plays. They had 2 shots on that. The other team had 8 shots during the Gophers' 5 power plays. But the Gophers have a good enough team to go all the way if they play up to their capability. St. Cloud and Moscow's doing a great job up there.
Yeah.
But they got upset last night, too.
Give me an overall assessment of the Wild, who have been up and down so far. It's been hard to figure any teams except for Chicago, maybe Anaheim this year. Do you feel good about the Wild overall?
I feel pretty good about them. They still have to score more goals. They have to be more consistent scoring, getting secondary scoring from their top line, and they have to have just a little better transition out of their own zone to get the puck up ice quicker. But they compete real hard, and they've got enough talent to make the playoffs. But you look at 8 teams, and right now it's unbelievable how close the conference standings are, and it's going to be that way the rest of the year.
Trent, quickly, are the Gophers the Sweet 16 team?
I don't know right now, but, if they play like they played against Indiana, if they bring that type of energy and effort and togetherness, they could make a nice run during the big dance.
There you have it. We've covered it all today.
Gophers women, I went to see them on Saturday, too. They are awful good.
So good at